What's up, guys? I'm back. What happened was that I had like a lot of things to do, and my computer was sort of having trouble. Of, and yeah, you know what? I had to fix that problem and probably find another another recording tool. I didn't find another recording tool. I had to upgrade it to have longer videos and stuff like that, so you can listen to me more and stuff like that. And also, I'll be using it for the winter. It's the same app that I upgraded it. It's the same app, but the only difference is that I upgraded it. And I apologize for that, because the last time I did a video was when post Hermine was weakening into when Hermine was dissipating. That's when was the last time I made a video on that, or when Hermine made landfall, or right around there. I don't know. Yeah, and I should do a couple of things before I can start doing this new update. One, we had Ian that came up the Atlantic. After Hurricane Hermine, we had Hurricane Norbert that struck Baja California, and we also had, after that, we had like Tropical Storm Ian in the middle of nowhere in the Atlantic, and yeah, after Ian, we had Julia. We had Invest 93L. It came from the west coast of Africa, and it traveled and traveled way across the Atlantic. We thought it was gonna dissipate and be disorganized. We thought that 93L will fail to develop, but it eventually did. It did develop and became the 10th named storm, which was Julia. It dumped about a half foot of rain. It developed over land. It was so rare. The hurricane hunters, I was surprised when I heard about that. And yeah, right after Julia dissipated probably because of wind shear. And right after Julia, we had, I forgot the name. Hijk. Oh yeah, we had Carl. And when Carl developed, by the time Carl developed, which was Invest 96L, when Carl developed, we thought this thing had a southerly storm track. It had a very good latitude. Pretty much. It was right around 20 north, right around there. And we thought this thing would be affecting land. We thought it was gonna, in the long term plus, it was gonna affect in the long term future of that thing. We thought it was gonna be affecting the United States, but only a small chance. But unfortunately, it didn't. It just stayed way out to sea. It probably affected Bermuda, but it never became a hurricane because it was dealing with a little bit of wind shear, and it was probably disorganized because of that. And the strongest it got was pretty much 70 miles per hour, or 65, after hitting Bermuda. Became extratropical. And yeah, by the time and after that, we were watching 97L. That's what Matthew was, 97L. And it was heading westward, and this thing got named today. It got named today. And by the time it got named, which was today, according to the NHC, and yeah, that's what we're trying to say. The NHC is keeping an eye on this, and yeah, it'll be heading westward for the next couple of days. And here's the island of Barbados right over here. And here's one interesting thing about the storm. This thing developed, they named it, and that was at 60 miles per hour. Pretty strong tropical storm, modern tropical storm, right around there. But this thing may slow down as soon as it gets over here. So it may slow down by the time it gets to this part of the Caribbean, probably south of Hispaniola. and north of Venezuela is in these islands up here. The NHC, the National Weather Service, or the Hurricane Center decided to issue a tropical storm watch for these 3 islands north of Venezuela. Yeah, and these islands should be keeping an eye on this storm, because it after it hits west, it should be having a little bit of a dive before turning back to the west, back west northwest. And yeah, that's what the points say. As you can see here, you can see here tropical storm force winds probably, and by the time it gets here, it's already a hurricane, probably a Cat 1 hurricane. This thing, as I'm recording right now, this thing just updated it. It updates every 3 hours when we got tropical storms in the Atlantic. So that's a pretty good timing of the updates, because this thing just updated like 3 hours ago. It just updated now again. So yeah, you can see Cat 1 hurricane heading westward. It may take a dive, it may follow what the GFS says, like fartherly north track, or the European southerly storm track, right around there. Southerly storm track for the European. We should keep an eye on this, which may be threatening the Caribbean for the next couple of days. As you can see here, the NHC has declared warnings ever since this thing developed. Barbados, St. Lucia, Guatemala, and islands like that. St. Martin, wait, I forgot the name, but all of the Windward Islands and Lister Antilles are under a tropical storm warning. Even the Barbados Island over here, that's marked, that I'm circling in, and the tropical storm watches have been issued for these three islands north of Venezuela. These islands are part of South America, so yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. They have to be watching this system as it heads west. May taking a little bit of a dive by the time it gets to this area of the Caribbean. Yeah, but right after that, it turns to the north, and I do believe it's because of the ridge or the upper trough that's over the Ohio Valley that sort of control. And Matthew's strength and speed also makes a big Matthew's speed and strength also may affect the forecast down the road. By the time the system is right over here, by the time we get to the weekend, it's very uncertain, because if it stays weak, which is very unlikely, this thing's already strengthened pretty much to a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm, may become a hurricane as early as Friday morning. So it's something that we may have to keep an eye on for the next week to about a week and a half, because we don't know. You can see the cone is this really big. It can turn over here, or it can turn as far west, over west of Jamaica, or over Jamaica. And the middle turns it to the east, only a little. So there's like a lot of uncertainties over here, because I guess this is what the model suggests: a sharp to the north, and some of it take it out to sea and staying off the east coast, and some of them, most of them show a track off the east coast. Last night's run was very different. It was showing a track towards the east coast. Even the European and GFS models were showing that. Both of them. Even this morning's run was showing a landfall on the east coast, the eastern seaboard. And yeah, that was last night. This was like hooking more towards the Carolinas, and like that as time went on. And today, it shows not really. It showed a major difference. The ensemble mean, the GFS ensemble mean, takes it pretty much a little bit offshore, while some of them, like half the ensemble members, take it towards a landfall anywhere from North Carolina, Cape Hatteras in North Carolina, towards Delaware and southern New Jersey, right around there. So one of these tracks could be have a correct answer, but look at the bomb out of this thing. 968. That's like a category 3 hurricane, I think. That's like a major bomb out. That we may be dealing with a major hurricane as soon as, when is this time period? As soon as hour 168. That's what the model suggests. And this is the Canadian. The Canadian's different. It has a in the Caribbean longer, and as early as 192 has a landfall, but then it's sort of after the landfall it sort of like stays offshore for the northeast. But look at some of them take it into the Gulf and threaten the Gulf Coast states, and then some, but most of them is in this region where it could be affecting the Bahamas down the road. The ensemble mean takes it up to Florida, Miami, Florida, and then South Carolina is the next target, then probably stays offshore of the northeast. And yeah, that's probably we gotta watch for the next couple of days, if not for about a week and a half. That's how much we have, and that's how much we gotta watch this thing. There's like a lot of uncertainties, and this is the intensity guidance. Category 1 is likely. Category 2 is likely too. And Category 3 is possible. The European shows a major bomb out with this thing. Cat 4 is possible too, because the European shows a 927 millibar bomb out according to the update from this afternoon. So yeah, pretty much a really may become, if this thing becomes a Cat 3, it'll be the second major hurricane of the season, and is likely to become a hurricane as time goes on. So this is really what we've been talking about. We've been talking about this thing ever since it came off of the west coast of Africa. Let me show you in the global models. For example, the European is showing. Let me show you a quick model run. For example, the European, it shows this and turns it north, heads in northeast. I do believe it's the upper low. It'll be the same upper low. It's gonna be sitting over here. By the time it's gonna be stalling over here, and then by the time the second trough comes down, this thing leaves. But it may take the hurricane out to sea. It just really depends. Because the second trough comes down, the blocking remains up here, but because of the second trough in the upper low leaving, it just erodes the ridge, and the same ridge is way out here, and that's way too far away. It has to be up here to make that landfall. Now, it just really depends. Now the GFS, no, let me show you the Canadian. The Canadian, similar situation, but it sort of wants to take it up the east coast, but because of the same upper trough that's going to be stalling over here. Here's the blocking, a lot of blocking up here, but not probably not strong enough to take it up the east coast. Like, here's the same upper low leaving, and probably the southern end of the trough may capture the hurricane and slingshot it out, and then probably it stalls offshore. And yeah, that's a major change from last night. The Japanese is the only disagreement on all of the global models, because it shows a stronger ridge. Look at this. You can see the ridge down here. It shows a pretty strong ridge. It's the Japanese model is the only disagreement. It actually shows a landfall in Florida and for the southeast. And yeah, that's the only disagreement. The Japanese model, or the JMA, shows this landfall because it's actually showing it's showing a stronger ridge, a very strong ridge out here, and a weaker, and that's the same upper low as I mentioned before. As you can see are very weak. It's actually, if this thing is weaker and it goes out and it leaves, because when this thing is weaker, the Japanese shows this thing weaker and then it heads northeast, and then we get a stronger ridge, and that's why it shows a landfall. And yeah, you can see all the blocking up here. The next trough coming down, pretty much it stays out, and the remnants, what's left over the ridge, is protecting this from heading out into the open water of the Atlantic. So yeah, that's what, and yeah, you can see it, the southern end is pretty too far away, and because of this ridge that wants to protect it from heading out like that or something like that. So the Japanese is the only disagreement that it shows, while all of the models, the European GFS, Canadian, I think it's the UK Met, this model. The UK Met also shows a disagreement in the model. The UK Met also shows the storm going out to sea. All of the global models show the storm heading north, but probably misses the east coast because of the same upper low that may be leaving about a week's time. So yeah, and the ridge is pretty strong. So yeah, that's what the models are trying to say. And yeah, I will be back tomorrow for another update. If I'm not back tomorrow, I may be back for Thursday. I may be back for Friday. I'll be back on Friday, if not tomorrow, if on Friday afternoon. So I will see you then. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then on Friday afternoon. So later. So later, guys.